Welcome to the Stay Spicy podcast, where we have honest, fun, and spicy conversations about being your authentic self.
Welcome back to season 3 of the Stay Spicy podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about all kinds of things business and entrepreneur related, because that's what we've been talking about on this season. We've talked with many guests about starting a business, building a business, our good moments, our scary moments, and also we're also diving into how to teach and mentor others on entrepreneurship on the podcast. So we're really lucky today because our guest is a unicorn because she does all of these things. So Melissa Martin, welcome to the Stay Spicy podcast. So Melissa is the CEO of Sunrise Consulting. She's a community connector. She's also, like Lynette, a 40 under 40, and is described as a valued guide for emerging entrepreneurs and seasoned professionals alike. So Melissa, it's like a total pleasure to have you on the podcast because you are bringing like a full circle moment to all of our guest experiences here. So we'd like to kick off and talk a little bit about how this all happened for you. What's your origin story? How did you discover or fall into entrepreneurship? So I will let you take it away.
Thank you. Thank you guys both for having me. I love the podcast. I love you both. It's just great to be here. And these conversations are so important. And I feel like maybe not coming out at the same rate as they should be. So really appreciate the work that you're doing on that end. It's always so funny to try and introduce myself and explain who I am, because some days I don't know. For the record, I was top 40 under 40. I am no longer under 40.
Same girl.
Just want to throw that one out
I
there.
are not under 40 anymore.
Right. Is there an award for like, yeah.
we were only top when we were under 40, I guess.
Yes, yeah, not top. Now I'm over.
Not top anyway. Over 40 and out of fucks.
So funny. Definitely out of fucks.
There we go. First F-bomb of the
Oh, yes, sorry. Hi.
Yeah.
That's also me. I feel like kind of going back to the educational piece, I was a first grade teacher. I taught first grade at the beginning of my career. Did not get to say fuck when I was doing that, so excited to be here. But I taught first grade and then went on maternity leave, and while I think I was 6 weeks into my second maternity leave, and I was really bored, and so I started a business. Don't recommend or highly recommend, depending on your personality, but it was challenging in ways that I did not consider. And from there, I ran a company for about 15 years, 16 years. And also during that time, I did some business advising, worked for a few really cool incubators and accelerator programs, moved to California. That was one of my funnest little adventures. And then got out of the company, exited the company, moved back to Canada. And now I'm just also back in post-secondary education.
I think it's so great to be able to talk to somebody who's gone full cycle, start, scale, exit, and then doesn't just like sit in the Bahamas with their pile of cash. It's actually giving back.
I wish the pile was big enough that I could.
She sits on a lake in BC.
Yes, I do. I do try and avoid the world for a little while, but unfortunately it wasn't that much. Yeah.
But to be able to give back and help upcoming entrepreneurs and existing entrepreneurs and impart some of the wisdom. I want to dig in because you said like it wasn't what you expected. What was your biggest fuck moment?
Oh my gosh, the biggest one? There's so many. I'm like, okay, story time. We're just starting straight off in story time.
Yeah,
this is very much how I communicate. When I started the company, I was in my 20s and I was super naive. It was my second kid. And I had a very small savings. It's not like I had I was a teacher, obviously. And there's not a ton of money sitting around. And so when I started the business, I actually took all of my money and bought my first sea container full of glass food containers of product. And I got it, was super excited. I'd sold some cases in Calgary. I was like hand delivering them, driving around, dropping them off to anybody that was ordering. And one night I was laying in bed, and of course, as you do when you live in Bowness, those of you that know Calgary, the sea can was parked in my driveway. I actually kept the sea container. I bought it from the ship and then kept it in my driveway for my warehouse. It was my storage space. And I could hear something, and I was like, oh my God, what's that noise? It was like a popping noise, and it sounded like somebody was like hitting the side of the sea can with a baseball bat or something. So I got out of bed and I went in there and I heard it, and it was coming from inside the sea container. And what had happened was my product was not manufactured properly, and the glass was spontaneously exploding. It was literally blowing the fuck up. My entire dreams, my entire world, I was like blowing up in my face. Shattered dreams. So yeah, so that was probably my biggest, like, what just happened to me and what did I just do? Like, right? The fear. And I honestly just cried. We were going on family vacation the next day to a place that had no cell service, no Wi-Fi, nothing, because that's for some reason what we like to do. And yeah, I cried that entire vacation. I had no idea what to do next. I just cried.
So Melissa, this was your green business, right? Like, this is the first business that you did before you did consulting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that company is called Lean Green, and we manufactured tempered glass food containers. So at that time,
I have one, and it has not exploded.
No, I know. I feel like we shouldn't even tell people this. They're gonna be like, I'm not buying it. We did fix it, for the record, Avi. But at the time, I was doing it for baby food. That was the only size I had, was like a tiny 4-ounce size. So everybody that bought it had bought it for baby food. And just to wrap up this story so nobody's freaking out, I did call everybody that bought it and drove back to their house and gave them cash and took the containers back and figured it all out. And one of the women that this happened with is still like my biggest. She was our #1 customer for the whole 15 years. She was so amazing. Yeah, no, doesn't explode anymore. We did fix it. That's a whole other story.
But that's a great part of it, right? Because it's like, okay, we've all had those moments where everything hits the fan, and it's like, then what do you do, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, legitimately, first you have a cry.
Oh my gosh, so much cries.
And nobody talks about that, right? Everybody's like, oh, and then I pivoted and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I sat there and I cried, and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And we all, I think, you know, as a fairly recent entrepreneur, I will always remember my first entrepreneur meltdown where I sat and I cried on a taco.
On a taco?
Yeah, because I had to eat.
That's fair. Okay.
I wasn't just hungry. It was a website situation. Aww. But yeah, it was just like you become overwhelmed and you just don't know what to do. And then you cry, then you pick yourself back up and you figure it out, because that's what we do.
That is what we do.
So you scaled the business. So you went beyond the sea can.
I went beyond the sea can.
Scaled it to be international, right?
Yeah, we grew really quickly. I was actually talking to a class yesterday, and I had gone back and looked at our financials, and we had hit 1 million in sales before our 3rd year. So we grew very, very fast, which also has challenges and makes me cry. But obviously there's some great things that come out of that as well. So we sold, funny enough, the US got a hold of the containers before I think Canadians did, and so we sold a lot into the US really fast, which I think helped with the marketing for our international business as well, because people could pick it up and see it a little. We had more visibility. But I gotta say, Alberta, Calgary especially, the media here to support small business was outstanding. They were super, super, super amazing, and just very, very fortunate that we had the support of the province to push us to kind of that next level.
What made you decide to get out of it altogether? You built this, it's your baby.
Yeah, I think that's like a mixed answer for sure. There was some things going on in my personal life that I was trying to manage. But I actually should backtrack. So I was living in California at the end of the company. I lived there for about 5 or 6 years. I'm not even sure anymore. And we went through COVID. We went through some administration changes, which also meant that there was some immigration updates. I am Canadian, so I was down there on visas. We went through a lot of protests. It was chaotic, really, while we were down there. And so at the time, I had thought that I would probably be exiting at some point. COVID was really tough on us, and we were trying to build back up. So we were going through that with the company. And so I moved back to Canada actually before I exited the company. So then after I got back to Canada, I was running a company with a full team in office in California. And I love virtual, and I'm so thankful for virtual work opportunities, but I found it really challenging. Like, there was one day that I got a call from whatever FedEx, whatever freight company was coming to pick up some pallets for an order. And they're like, hey, we're here for our scheduled 9 a.m. And I'm like, okay, go get the pallets. Why are you calling me? And they're like, because it's not open. I'm like, oh shit, what do you mean it's not open? And I'm like texting the warehouse manager. I'm like, hey girl, where are you at? And she's like, oh, I have a migraine today. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're the only one with a key. So we couldn't open. Anyway, so that's kind of one of the reasons. I was just really trying to build it back up from COVID, trying to manage it from another country, and just tired. I was tired as well.
And Melissa, how do you take, those experiences, those challenges, and how did you apply it to what you're doing now?
Oh my gosh, what even am I doing now?
That's a good start. What are you doing now?
I'm like, what do I do for a living? I think, it's so, by the way. I know, right? I think applying the resilience, so I'm going to tell you another little story. Maybe this will answer it, maybe it won't. We'll find out. So I have a girlfriend that I worked with. I met her because of the company. I met so many amazing girlfriends running this company in all sorts of positions all over the world. And I was struggling with something personally, and I was confiding in her, and she's like, yeah, but why are you crying? And I was like, because it's scary, and it's sad, and it's so hard. And she's like, yeah, but you're the only person in the world that I know that have this figured out in the next 3 minutes. And I was like, you're right. I actually am very, very good at resolving things and getting past them and getting through them and staying really true to myself. And so I think just that whole running a business, running a family, right? Being in California with my 2 kids as a single mom, and just that adventure on itself is huge. So being able to do all these big things and being able to do them on my own just shows me I can do really big things, and I can do them on my own. So now, in my current position, I was just hired at SAIT as an associate director of entrepreneurship and innovation. So my role at SAIT right now is to actually open up an entrepreneurship and innovation center for students, alumni, community. So it's really getting to be like the connecting, networking queen that I am, and bringing everything into one spot. So that's what I do now, which is really cool. And I call that my big girl job. I haven't had one in a lot of years.
That's amazing. And that is like the full circle moment that Lynette mentioned, like,
right.
Taking all of the experiences and everything and bringing it all together. I think teaching is I'm doing some teaching now. It's a very rewarding job. Are you finding that current young entrepreneurs or students, do you find them dealing with the same kind of challenges that you found yourself dealing with, or is it different now?
I think it's different now. I think post-COVID is very, very different. Supply chains are so different than they used to be. Sourcing has changed so much, right? Like the globalization from I started in 2008 until now is just mind-blowing. When I'm trying to help a company, I'm like, have you done this? They're like, why would I do that, dinosaur? I'm like, oh, I just thought that was the way you did it. So I'm learning a lot from new entrepreneurs as well, for sure. I think there's been some changes, but overall, the challenges are almost always around the same things: cash flow, HR, right? Those challenges aren't going to change. So we see a lot of that still.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love what you said about you're learning from new entrepreneurs, and it to me ties into that whole thing of like, I can do really big things and I can do them on my own. Not to say that you don't need help from time to time, but I go back to I think we forget 2 things. We forget what we're capable of, but then there's also this notion of, when you're a new entrepreneur, I think especially a woman entrepreneur, you get told that you have to go to like the big business boys or girls and get their advice. And so sometimes we blindly take that advice. And so I love that some of these younger people are like, no, why would I do that? Or what about this? And it's like, use your brain and remember that you know how to do things and take the advice. But also think for yourself. And I had that a few times, right? Where somebody would say to me, this is how you need to do it. And then in practice, I just felt like that doesn't work for me and it doesn't fit me. So I'm like, I'm not going to do it that way. And turns out my way worked for me. So I think it's yeah, seek the information, seek the advice, but also remember that you can do things and that you know things, and that yeah, your intuition. What's a time where you found like followed your intuition over someone else's advice or over like conventional business wisdom?
All the time. I'm like, if it was like written in business stone that something was supposed to happen one way, I'd do it the other way. I feel like that might be a little bit of shit disturber in me as well, but I laugh because so my factory, I had reached out to my factory so many times. I'm like, I really want you guys to do it. They said no so many times. And then after my exploding glass incident, Toys R Us really wanted to pick us up, and I told them I have no product. And they're like, what if we give you a bunch of purchase orders so you can go to the bank and you can keep going? So that's how I kept going. And I was like, great. So I was able to keep going, but I needed a new factory. And so this factory was like, listen, we are coming from South Korea. There's this really big trade show in Chicago. If you come and present to us and our 43 distributors, we'll consider it. They've never done private labeling for anyone else, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and try and do this. So I walked into that room against, I would say, every piece of advice I had ever been given. I walked in alone with a business plan written with Mr. Sketch markers, and not polished, not gone through all the lawyers and the accountants and had perfect projections. I walked in to explain where the passion was coming from and why I thought it was such an important product to be made. And everybody in the room was like, whoa, this is phenomenal. For the record, everyone in the room was male. I was the only female in that room. So I think maybe I scared a couple of them because I wore really high heels. So that was important. But
You're also tall to begin with.
I'm already tall. So I just wanted to be taller than everyone because I felt like maybe then I'd be scary. They laugh now when I say this because they're like, girl, you were not scary. I was like probably shaking and almost crying. I'm like, please just give me a chance.
Scared, not scary.
Yes, exactly. Don't tell younger me that. But it was just one of those like funny experiences because I had, a volunteer advisory panel at the time, and there was lawyers and there was accountants and there was professionals and there was businessmen, and again, I was surrounded by a lot of men, and I was like, but you guys don't understand who's buying it. It's moms buying it. Like, I'm a mom that came up with a product for moms. Like, you can't sell this to me. I have to sell this. And so it was just really interesting to go against all that advice and be really scared of it. But in the end, it was a good idea.
I love that. Also, need cute shoes to chase your dreams. So whether it's heels or otherwise, wear the shoes that make you feel like a badass in the boardroom. I'm a big believer in that. Yep.
It's important.
Dress the part and whatever makes you feel powerful, I think, right? It's we all have something, and it's almost like putting on like a superhero costume.
Yes.
It's definitely the unknown, and I think like the trend we're seeing, even recording this podcast this season, is the fact that people are going into an unknown, uncharted territories, particularly women. But that's not going away because women are making up the highest amount of entrepreneurs, particularly in Alberta. And across the country, they're just, they're leaving their director roles, they're leaving organizations, they're starting their own businesses, and they know audiences and niches and a way of doing business that is completely different. So, whether we're interviewing Supreet or Ali Stone or anybody, it's the same kind of thing that we're hearing is, I went and did what I wanted to do against the advice of everybody else. And it's a little bit, I think, scary, a little bit lonely, but a part of, I think, entrepreneurship, Stay Spicy mantra, all that is the idea that like your individuality is the biggest selling point, right? And it sounds like, Melissa, that you discovered that pretty early despite all of the cards stacked against you in those rooms.
I was probably just super naive, but let's pretend I was smart.
But Melissa, you once told me that women are successful in business because we do it different.
Yes.
So tell me more about that. What does that mean to you?
Oh my gosh. Oh, there's so many things. I think I really do feel like women are told that what we're thinking and what we're feeling and our business gut is wrong. And every time I see women follow their business gut, it is right on so many levels. And I think what the issue is that business was written, and the rules and, you know, the things that we teach at business school, they were all done so long ago that they didn't come from an inclusive lens. And so now when we're looking at work from home, for example, right? Like, it's so wonderful to be able to work from home. Fur babies or real babies, it's great to be able to have that balance and do something like that. And I think, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I just feel like it was written before we had the insight of women. And so now women have to recreate it because it wasn't written for us. It was written to exclude us. And so now we're rewriting it. And I'm excited to see where that goes. When I started in 2008, I couldn't find a single woman to sit on an advisory board for me, which is wild. Because now I sit on as many as I possibly can. I'm like, I will be there. I will fill that seat. So it's definitely changed. The landscape's getting better.
I've gotten into so many debates lately / arguments with people about remote work. Yeah,
I know, I was trying not to talk about it too.
Yeah, debates, fights. Men and women though. So
yes,
this is the thing, and I'm just gonna say it because it's stay spicy. It's gonna be fucking spicy. I think Sherry, you used this term the other day, and so I'm not saying that you have to be a woman to appreciate remote work, but I think some women instinctively are just like, this doesn't work because of some internalized misogyny from the workplace. And so they're not necessarily asking themselves of like, okay, but can it work and in what context? So I had a conversation with a women leader the other day. And not that I was trying to like win her over. I'm just saying this is how I feel about it. This is my experience with it. I mean, for me, I led an international team. I didn't have a choice to have people physically together. Right. So I'm like, it can work. It's harder for sure. It's a lot harder to lead in that environment, but it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means you have to work harder as the leader. And what's wrong with that? As you know, changing your tactics. But that's my view. And I just find more and more there's this like, all of a sudden there was this openness to it in the kind of immediate post-COVID world, and now there's this backlash, and it seems like it's just picking up speed. What are your thoughts on remote work? I mean, you also talked about some of the limitations of leading a team from another country. But
it's challenging at times.
Yeah, it's not one or the other, right?
It's not. And when we started in Canada, my office was work from my home. My office was in my house. So there was 6 of us that worked in my house, which was so funny. So for me, I worked from home, which was really, really great because the most valuable time to talk to my kids was on the 1 kilometer from the bus stop to my house. And so being able to walk them home from school every day and walk them up to school every day, no matter what I was doing, as long as I wasn't traveling for work, was the biggest piece of connection I had. By dinner time, everybody's so tired. We're just trying to get done the day, whatever that looks like. So before school age, any of our employees that had children, they were all allowed to come too. So ours was very family first, babies first, kids first. And as we grew and people started then working remotely, we had a sales team immediately of 46 salespeople all across North America. So obviously we couldn't bring them all to my basement. It would have been a little bit crowded. And so we had to be really creative in 2010 on how we're going to be having all of these business meetings and bringing everybody together. And I still get a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, your Zoom calls were so fun. Like we always had so much fun on your calls. And it was like something that people were looking forward to, were those times that they got to work with our company remotely. And I think, again, just not being super restrictive and following the rules of business is going to be important for work from home as well. Maybe it's not 9 to 5, right? Maybe it's 7 to 9 and then a break from 9 to 10 and then 10 to 12 and then a lunch break, like whatever that looks like, but allowing people the freedom and the respect and trust to be able to go and do that on their own, I think is so, so important. And I know I'm sitting in an office right now. I get so much more done at home. I am so much more productive when I am sitting at my home desk because no one bugs me.
So if you had a young entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur come to you and you could give them one piece of advice,
Oh my gosh.
what would be that one thing you could tell them?
Well, I get a lot of young entrepreneurs in my position, which is really exciting. And I
Or an
think
old
I'm going to
entrepreneur.
say, yeah.
Or say a woman in
No,
her 40s.
the women in their 40s, they already know all the answers. Just kidding. I do
No,
business
we just don't give a shit anymore.
Exactly. Or like somebody will buy it or they won't.
Yeah.
I think just reminding young entrepreneurs that it is challenging. It's not as glamorous as it looks, but it's so worth it. The reward is often so much bigger than the risk, but the risk is big, but so is the reward, right? And I think entrepreneurship has been glamorized so much. Like, oh my gosh, you're a CEO, you're so cool. I'm like, no, I literally like haven't slept in 4 weeks. Like, I'm not that cool. And so just trying to show both ends. It's huge risk, but it can also be huge reward.
Mm-hmm. We see a lot of that in the age of social media too, right? The glamorization of the work from home or the content creator and all that. They don't see behind the scenes like the total grind or the months where there's no income and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's always important, especially with young impressionable folks, to make sure that they know that there are myths behind a lot of this different stuff. So Melissa, do you have an entrepreneurship myth that you want to share
Yes.
with our audience?
Oh, I'm so glad you guys asked me this question. I feel like most people don't ask me, probably because they see how passionate I get about it.
Oh, we
But
love
you don't
this
have to be
question.
mean. Don't be mean. You can be spicy
Ooh.
as fuck. You can be as spicy as you
Yeah.
want, but do not be
Spicy
mean.
nice.
Right? Spicy nice. I was
Yeah.
told so many times at the beginning, they're like, oh, you're just a school teacher. You're just a mom. You're too nice. And I'm like, sorry, I'm not understanding why that's a bad thing. Like, sorry. They're like, well, you'll never succeed. I probably had over 100 people tell me that I was too nice to be in business. One of my competitors, I found out later, dubbed me as the school teacher from Saskatchewan. I've never been to Saskatchewan. I heard it's lovely, but I'm not from there. But because they're American, they just picked the weirdest
an
province
insult.
to say, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, that was the
It's the
insult.
alliteration,
They're like,
probably.
yeah.
School
So
teacher in
annoying.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah, so
That is
they
one I
did
haven't
that.
heard yet.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
be nice, and it pays off. We had this buyer, our Bed Bath and Beyond buyer. I had known her for 10 years, and when people started to then come out with competitive products, obviously they would want a Bed Bath and Beyond space, and my buyer would tell them no. She's like, we have enough. We don't have any room. And she would call me. She'd be like, oh my God, did you know that Pyrex launched another container that's your size or your color or whatever? And so she would like tell on them to me. So that being nice pays off.
Well, this is kind of along the same lines, but I always like asking because there was a panel of women entrepreneurs one time, and I think the question was something like, what's the best piece of advice you've gotten or something like that. And I'm going to call her out because she's going to be she was proud of it. And so it's Kendall Barber from Poppy Barley. And I just love her spiciness. We should have her on the podcast someday. And she just like rejected the question. She's like, advice is bullshit. Don't take advice. So, and in fairness, I was the moderator of the panel.
So good.
So then I was like, cool. She's like, stop taking advice. So then I flipped it around. I was like, okay, Kendall, what is the worst piece of advice that you've gotten? And I kind of love that question. So I'm going to ask it to you. You can also tell me that's bullshit if you want, but what's the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
You mean other than be mean?
Be mean, yeah.
Yeah. Worst piece of advice that I've ever gotten. Sorry, my lights are all messy. I'm going to say, man, so funny. I've gotten so much horrible advice. I like...
There's just too much to
give
choose
my
from.
husband 50-50 would probably be the worst advice. A lot of people thought he was not running the company, he was not involved in the company, but a lot of people thought that I should have a man's name on my incorporation docs, so they wanted to put my ex-husband at 50% of the shares. imagine what that would have looked like in a divorce. That would have been a little bit trickier. But yeah, I didn't do that, obviously, but that was probably the worst piece of advice that I got. And I don't think I'm the only one that has received that type of advice before. And it's just sad. I hate that advice. Like now I've got, the group of women that I'll call and be like, okay, how do we do this? What do we do? It's not just hey, can you tell me the answer? But it's more of like a ping things off of each other. And I think that's super important. So it doesn't all have to be you.
That's the advisory board I want.
Right? I know there's a lot of wine involved in that one.
A good mentor and wine.
Yep. Before you go and create like even a board or a formal advisory board for your business, create your personal advisory board of people who are going to tell you the truth, but who are excited for your success. And all of we call them Post-it people, Sherry and I. Sherry's on my personal advisory board. I call her when I'm like, nobody's going to hire me. And she's like, you've only been in business a month. Take a breath.
Oh my gosh.
Cool. Got it.
I have somebody to argue with the monsters in our heads that's not us. If somebody else could please argue with them, that would be fabulous.
Yeah. Can you tell me that I'm crazy? Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Melissa. This time flew by, honestly. I so enjoyed this conversation and love your storytelling method of communication. I know Sherry does as well. And we are excited for new entrepreneurs to be able to learn from you. So if somebody wants to learn from you, where can they find you?
Well, maybe working from home, because that's what I like to do.
Give me your address.
Here's my address. Call me. Honestly, with a woman entrepreneur, I would not be sad if they just started knocking on my door and they're like, I'm a woman entrepreneur. I'll be like, come on in. I don't even think that would freak me out. But I'll give you my SAIT email address. It's just melissa.martin@sait.ca, and anyone is welcome to reach out. I do try and still fit in as much business advising as I can. Super passionate about women entrepreneurs. That's definitely where my brain goes. We need to validate this experience. The experience is not the same as all the textbooks are saying it's going to be. So I'm here to tell you that there's a different way.
Thanks so much. And thank you everyone for listening, tuning in continuously. We love our regulars and our new listeners. Speaking of socials, we're on socials. Sherry does all the work on that because I'm like Melissa, I'm more of a lurker. And so you can find us at Stay Spicy Inc., both on Instagram, Facebook, and on LinkedIn. And then, of course, our website is stayspicy.ca if you want some spicy merch, like the mug that I have today, or anything that says asshole on it. We pretty much put it on a shirt or a mug.
And we wear it on YouTube, our YouTube channel too, Stay Spicy Inc.
Yeah. If you want to see what we're talking about, check out our YouTube channel, where we tend to promo our merch, wear it, drink from it, live it.
Stay spicy, y'all.
So, and then until next time, stay spicy.
Woo!
Thanks for listening to the Stay Spicy podcast.
We love hearing from our listeners and want you to be part of our community. So connect with us on social media at Stay Spicy Inc.
And visit us online at stayspicy.ca.